TV's Rick Blood is here!
Rick Blood.
Rick Blood.
Rick Blood. Three Blood.
Hey, that's cool.
Welcome to Unfiltered. Another week. And I'm going to start this week with, I got a phone call this week from a woman who was offended by last week's show. Where do I start? I offended her on so many levels. It's tough. She was offended by the fact that I said I smoked pot on the air and seemed rather proud of that fact. I told her it was just honesty, and what does she have against honesty? She was upset at the fact that I used the politically incorrect term retard. To me, the term politically incorrect is politically incorrect. Plain and simple. I don't consider developmentally, hold on, see, I don't want to say disabled either, because that is a worse word than retard. Developmentally handicapped people, I don't consider them retards. They were born that way. I consider the rest of us retards because we have become the way that we are. You know, normal people act stupid. That's what makes them a retard. But words are words, plain and simple. I don't know. She was also offended at the fact that I think that 13 to 18-year-old kids who send nude pictures over the cell phone or over the internet should be sentenced to death or whatever, you know, strict penalties. Yeah, she was offended by that. Oh, wait, did I forget to tell you this lady was a college senior? Yeah, it's nice to see our colleges are still as liberal as ever. And this is my opinion. You know? She said, it sounded like you didn't research that story. Well, I didn't. I read this story. I work for a living. I don't have time to research stuff. You're in college. You research it. That's all I'm saying. I am like your normal guy. I work, I go home, I catch what I can of the news, the media. That's where I get my information. News programs on television, newspapers. That's where my information comes from. Much like probably the majority of every normal person in the United States. Sure, I could research that topic, and which results would you like? Because I can scare up research from any angle. Research is just bullshit that somebody else wrote down to try and prove to us that they know something. That's all it is. Here's my research on that story. I did a little bit today. In Trenton, New Jersey, police conducted a pre-dawn raid at a public housing complex where officials say a 7-year-old girl was gang raped while her teenage sister got paid for it. The teenage sister was 15 years old. She sold her 7-year-old sister to these guys so they could have sex with her. Should she just get a slap on the hand and a misdemeanor? Sure, why not? She's just a kid. She's not just a kid, she's a pimp. And yeah, these are the things that make me think I don't need research to form my opinions. I see stories like this, and my opinions are formed automatically. That 15-year-old kid that sold her little sister should be taken to like Dubai in Saudi Arabia and sold. You know, maybe if she goes to prison, she'll get passed around, you know? She probably won't get as much as her 7-year-old sister brought her in, you know? It won't be 20, 30 bucks. It'll be, you're mine for a cigarette. That's it. No, there's no excuse for this. And I said that young kids shouldn't have a cell phone. Well, I was talking to Lee one day on the porch while we were having a cigarette about this whole deal. And he says, well, I don't agree. Which is fine. You know, I realize that a lot of people don't agree with me. Some people do. But Lee said he thinks that kids should have cell phones, and he presented a very good argument, you know, emergency contacts and things like that. Kids need cell phones in case of emergency. I'm almost 50 years old. The fact that I'm sitting here doing this show proves that a kid does not need a cell phone. I didn't have a cell phone till last year. Biggest pain in my ass ever.
It's because you carry it in your back pocket.
I dread the day. I dread the day you bought that for me, Bruce. Said you have to have a cell phone. Oh, yeah. This world is such a dangerous place these days. And I don't know what it is, but there's more violence, there's more disrespect, and granted, they say don't spend your time looking back, look forward. But if you keep looking forward, you forget the mistakes that have been made in the past. So yeah, look at the past a little bit. You'll see we're getting right up there close to Obama playing the fiddle while the country burns down. And if you don't think so, how about blood sports? I know a lot of you back at home are saying, well, we're America. We don't condone blood sports. That's crap. We don't condone dog fighting. We condone blood sport, though. Otherwise, WWE wouldn't be one of the largest drawing things ever. UFC. These are guys, people pay $50 and $100 to go in and sit in a seat and watch two guys pummel each other to a bloody pulp. And cheer. Yeah.
How long has boxing been going on in this country?
Exactly. Exactly. And they always say, this is a fight to the finish. Well, that's a good place to end. You know, I don't know. It's just...
I think it's the general lack of respect that we're seeing nowadays toward each other and for life in general that's attributing to a lot of the violence, the increase in violence. People don't care what happens to the guy next to them anymore.
Right. Yeah. And that's exactly it. And people, I mean, people want kids to have their rights. You know?
Kids don't have rights.
I don't condone...
Not until they're 18.
I don't condone actual beating of kids. You know, there's a line between a deserved beating, and when I say beating, I'm talking about the wallops that I took as a kid. And it was never, my old man never punched me out until I, had bruises and a concussion and, laying on the floor in a pool of blood. But it was if I deserved it, yeah, you got the couple of good wallops on the ass, and that was it. And I'll tell you, the one day that I remember, the biggest lesson in my life, I was a junior in high school, doing what juniors in high school do, skipping, at least back then. And I thought it would be cool, because The parents worked. I left school and I went home. I walked in the house at 11:30 in the morning, and the old man was sitting at the kitchen table. He worked me into a corner and beat me until my nose was bloody. The whole time telling me to hit him back. Because apparently the old man just wanted a fair fight. But you know something? I learned that day that I respected him too much to raise my fist to him. And I wasn't ready to move out yet. Because that's a sign. When you stand up, you raise your fist to your father or your mother, that's your sign. That is the point where you have become an adult and it's time to be on your own. You know, kids don't think like that anymore. Kids will walk all over their parents and their parents let them. Probably because people my age, Greg's age, Bruce and Andrea's age, we grew up with parents that were not afraid to spank.
My parents had values that they instilled in me and taught me how to respect those around me.
Well, yeah, but our parents were the type of people that when they said no, and me as a smart-ass 13, 14-year-old went, well, how come? My old man would say, because. That was the end. When I moved out of the house, became an adult, got married, and had kids of my own, I swore I would never say, I would never use because as an answer. But guess what? I did. Because you have to. You know, as a parent, you have to be a parent. You can't, I mean, I grew up saying I'm going to be nothing like my parents. My parents were so horrible, you know? But, you know, you have to be like your parents. If you want your kids to be better than you are, you have to be better than your parents. That's all I'm saying. And it's tough because, like I said, the world is a dangerous place. When I was young, we would go out in the morning and not come home until dark. We didn't have a phone. We didn't check in every 15 minutes because our parents weren't afraid that we were going to get snatched off the streets. They were probably, you know, actually they were probably hoping that we'd get snatched off the streets, but we never did. You know, it was a big joke on them, apparently. But I remember I grew up on Grove Street and walked. My elementary school was at the end of the street. And I would leave the house in the morning and walk to school with no chaperones. You know, because if a car stopped on the side of the road to try and do me harm, one of the neighbors was always paying attention. That's another thing that we're lacking. We're lacking neighborship, if that's what you want to call it. I don't know what you call it. But being good neighbors, being a good community. I don't know. It's stupid. Make up your own minds. And, you know, that was what I told this girl that called. I said, look, I mean, I don't want people to watch my show and then just automatically, you know, think, oh, yeah, I want to think just like him. No, I mean, I welcome people to disagree with me, you know, because it helps my opinions get better. If somebody says, yeah, but I disagree, why don't you look at it this way? You know, well, sure, give me your input. You know, I'll listen to it, swash it around in my brain a little bit, and then spit it out, like everything else, you know, and it'll be part of my brain. I don't know. But what else was I going to talk about? It's springtime. Well, I got to say that It took a little bit of time last week, but by Monday of this week, the Manchester Public Access Station had grabbed the show from Peg Media. So that is an additional possible 35,000 viewers for Unfiltered. I think it's very cool. But in Keene, probably in every other place in the country too, every town in the country, springtime's coming, and the construction projects are starting up. Yeah, we've got Washington Street that has started already on the lower end of Washington Street. We've got a new middle school building going in up on Maple Ave, and apparently there was some issues with eminent domain, I guess, for that school. And nobody even mentioned it, nobody questioned it, nobody, there were not even a peep about the effects of this school on the poor little animal kingdom. Yeah, they clear-cut an entire forest up there to build this school on. And now me living over in Tanglewood, I've got 3 families of squirrels, 2 families of raccoons, 6 blue jays, and 8 families of little bunny rabbits living across the street now.
Really?
Because they had no place to go. So, I mean, don't be all upset when the deer are running around, downtown, because all those creatures in that little forest have got to go somewhere.
They're gonna move into the homeless huts down there behind Hannaford's. No, I've been seeing some new faces down by me too. Some squirrels. They've been showing up. They're a little tentative, and some of them are kind of stupid. I throw nuts right at them. They bounce right past them. They don't know what they're looking for yet. But
Yeah, see, but word travels fast in the squirrel kingdom, Bruce.
apparently, because I got
So-
reds showing up too. I got a couple of little red ones.
Yeah.
Chatty little bastards.
One of your squirrels just ran down there to the other end of the street and just said, hey man, there's this guy down in Tanglewood, got unlimited supply of peanuts. You should come over. He'll treat you good. He's not the least bit interested in squirrel stew. Yeah.
I don't leave the pelts outside where they can see them.
I would be because, get my hands on any of them bunnies in this too. So, hey, so yeah, anyway. And school's getting ready to get out. So watch out for construction equipment. Don't follow dump trucks too close because rocks fall off them and bounce off the ground and crack your windshields. School's going to be out soon, so watch out for the little kids. They're everywhere. But I got this news story today. Apparently, the Australian Prime Minister is mad at Robin Williams because he called them rednecks. So, oh, well, here, take it then. Bruce, forget to start his timer? Oh, you cleared it? Perfect. Yeah, well, just set it by mine, and I probably don't even need that back if you can have Greg give me some clear time codes. So anyway, Australia's Prime Minister is mad at Robin Williams because apparently he called the Australian people rednecks. Yeah. And it was during a radio interview. No. Robin Williams told David Letterman that Australians are basically English rednecks. And he went on to say, I realized that if Darwin had landed in Australia, he would have gone, I'm wrong. But yeah, the Prime Minister is real mad. He says Robin Williams should look closer to home before bashing the Australians. He says, I think Robin Williams should go and spend a bit of time in Alabama before he frames comments about anyone being particularly redneck. Sure. I mean, why should the Australian Prime Minister get all mad? Everybody's got rednecks.
Aren't we the ones that coined the phrase?
We
about our
probably
own
are.
people?
We probably are. And apparently Robin Williams made the jokes following a recent visit to Australia, but the joke appeared to have bombed in Australia, at least with the Prime Minister. So, what can you do? All right. No, we'll go a little bit more. I'll do another short one before crew call. Here's a guy was arrested and been charged with running through a Tennessee supermarket in the nude. Yeah, apparently he entered an IGA store wearing nothing but a face mask and ran around the aisles. Well, for one thing, they should have kicked him out for not having shoes on. And the police report says the officers found the suspect in the bathroom of a nearby Hardee's. Employees say he entered the fast food outlet wearing nothing but an orange hooded sweatshirt and asked if anyone could lend him clothes. Apparently it was a 22-year-old guy and they've charged him with indecent exposure. But he told the police officer he was bored and didn't have anything better to do. So why not take a little run through the supermarket in a mask? Jeez. All right. Greg, you forgot to turn your light on again. All right, it's on. Over here we've got Greg. He's in the light and everything. And in the booth, it's Bruce and Andrea. All right.
Helps if you turn the microphone on so people can hear you. How you doing out there?
Good. And Ernie said he already checked the monitor out there, and we are sending sound out to the.
Oh, good.
That's a good thing. We got all the buttons and bells and stuff turned on, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's last couple of days been nice. The rain's finally passed. Got the hell out of here. Low pressure's still killing her though, but
We got a high pressure coming in. I saw it.
it's
The weather
supposed to
with
get
Al Caprillion
real
today.
nice for Good Friday and this Easter Sunday weekend.
It's going to be a good Saturday. Yeah, and Easter, that's one of the biggest days in the church business.
in, the, ch- in, the,
You know?
in the church business, yeah.
Apparently, Pastor Ray went around town and like did on the street interviews and asked people
Wrong one.
if they knew
That's the one.
what Good Friday was all about. I said, well, I know what Good Friday is all about. That's when all the department stores have their big sales. He was like, no, Rick, that's Black Friday.
Black Friday.
So. But he's doing a big service for Good Friday and then a big Easter. I guess a huge Easter service at the Assembly of God this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
He's got like light show and smoke machine and I don't know what else. Maybe hydraulics and
Right.
it's got to be a huge
People jumping
huge
out of
production
cakes.
house,
And,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Jesus popping out of a cake. That's not right. Yes. There goes Rick.
That's terrible. That's terrible. We Andrea asked me if I'd pass along the NASCAR results from the past weekend. Goody's Fast Pain Relief 500 held at Martinsville, Virginia this past week, and turned out to be a pretty good, exciting finish. Denny was leading the race, ended up going into the pits with 10 laps to go. He and the guy running second, Kyle Busch, there was a caution, so they thought tires would be a good thing. Everybody else stayed out, except for guys like 12th on back. So when they restarted, I didn't think he had a prayer, but he managed to work his way up to 4th by the time the last caution came out, and then with the green-white checker, he managed to pull it off. And it's quite a good victory for him, but he ended up putting off his knee surgery. He ended up having to go in for knee surgery this past week on Wednesday. He had originally planned on waiting until the end of the season to get it done, but I guess it was acting up on him, and he wanted to get it done sooner than later. But the way we all ended up this week was Denny Hamlin won the race. Joey Logano came in second, so it was a 1-2 finish for Gibbs. Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman, Martin Truex finished in 5th. Hell of a good race for him. Good finish for him. Brian Vickers, Clint Boyer, Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson. First time in a while this man hasn't won a race, and it was good to see. He ended up in ninth place. Greg Biffle, Marcus Ambrose, Brad Keselowski, Sam Hornish, Paul Menard, and Dale Jr. My man came in 15th. So wasn't quite the finish I was hoping for Junior, but beats the hell out of finishing last. So as the point stack up right now, Jimmy Johnson did pull up to the lead in the points. Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick fell to fourth place, and Jeff Burton rounds out the top five, followed by Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer. Dale Jr. dropped to 10th place in points. Paul Menard is in top 12 and 11th, and then Brian Vickers rounds out the standings right now. It's an off week for NASCAR this week as far as the Cup level guys, but next time they're going to race is April 10th in Phoenix, and it's going to be a Saturday night race. So looking forward to that. Yeah, it's one that Andrea doesn't like to see because they always show the dang rattlesnakes, and she doesn't like snakes, but she can close her eyes. We'll get through it. But other than that, not a whole lot going on in our little world, so we're going to throw it back at you, buddy.
Well, thanks. I'm just, as usual, there's always one long story that I grabbed that I didn't read. But apparently there's a theme park in China that's kind of causing some controversy. It's called the Little People's Kingdom of Dwarfs. That's right. It's where dwarfs perform in fairy tale costumes for tourists, drawing curious crowds and a fair share of criticism. 108 dwarfs from around the country work at this park. Some people think that it's not right because they're all dwarfs. But apparently for 80 yuan, however you say Chinese money, it averages out, it equals out to $11.72. But it's not a small sum in China. For that much money, tourists can watch skits, sentimental group dances, and acrobatics some may view as more than a little reminiscent of medieval freak shows, now deemed politically incorrect in many parts of the world. Sure. But it's funny. You know, it's like a live action, It's a Small, Small World. You know?
I seriously doubt that the Chinese government's going out and rounding up all the vertically challenged people and forcing them to work in this show. I'm pretty sure that they have a choice, so it's not.
Well, yeah, because for many of the employees, it's a rare opportunity to find work. You know, they get Cheng Ming, a flamboyant Sichuanese businessman who single-handedly conceived and funded the park, made his fortune manufacturing electronics and investing in property, but said he had always wanted to do good for society. And now he's got bigger plans for his little kingdom. He's already invested about 100 million of Chinese dollars into the site, and he's looking for a further 700 million to expand it. Yeah. He's hoping that the number of performers will grow to around 1,000 within a few years. And one day, he beams, the Navy will have its own reservoir, the infantry a railroad, the Air Force a cable car, and the foreign ministry employees will serve as tour guides. Because apparently it's, as well as a host of dwarf guardian angels, the fantasy world has a king, an army, a health department, and even its own foreign ministry. And they all must pretend to live in a miniature hilltop village of crooked little houses. Much like Plymouth Plantation or Sturbridge Village or them other places like that. But people are upset because of they're all dwarfs. And they think that it's, you know, it's not nice to poke fun at dwarfs. The only qualification
Sounds like they're poking fun at themselves.
Yeah, and like us Americans are you know, horrible people. We don't want to see it, or, you know, so many people in America would say that it's horrible, but yet they'll turn on the Learning Channel and watch that damn TV show, The Little People. You know? Apparently, the only qualification for employees whose ages range from 18 to 48 is to be shorter than 51 inches and be fundamentally self-sufficient. So, I don't know. It's facilities from sinks to light switches are installed for people with a short stature in mind, offering greater independence. You know, but they'll let anybody into the park.
They just don't let the little people out.
Well, you have to be little to work there. And when somebody like my size goes in and tries to get on a ride, they say, oh no, you have to be this short to ride on the rides. All right. Let me get into this one because this is going to take a few minutes. Apparently in Tennessee, on Wednesday, a 70-year-old Nashville man was accused of ramming his sport utility vehicle several times into the back of a vehicle that had an Obama-Biden bumper sticker on it. And it appears, this incident appears to be among, you know, many in this, you know, the whole bipartisan political, or the partisan political crap, where even there have been death threats sent to members of Congress who voted for the health care bill. Sarah Palin actually published a map of the United States with little sniper crosshairs on all the states where the Congress people voted for the health care bill. You know, and people are up in arms, you know. They don't want you to say anything bad about Obama. You know, that's like sacrilege. You know, anybody that speaks out against Obama is in deep shit. And, you know, the government is coming down on them. Saying it's so horrible, you know, and they're blaming everything on, hold on, Obama's left. Yeah, blaming everything on the righties. You know, the Republicans, the right-wing people, the conservatives, they're such mean and ugly and hateful people to be around. But, see, this is another thing where people have forgotten to look back. Because you don't have to look back but a year and a half to where you saw people holding up signs that said, "Kill Bush." Was that the conservatives? No. That was the loony left-wingers. That was that side. When they weren't in power, they were the ones making threats. Now that they're in power and people make threats against them, oh, they don't like it. You know, we've become slaves to our own society. Plain and simple. People can't find jobs, or they have jobs they hate, and the only reason they're doing jobs that they hate is because they need to pay the bills. So you stay in a job. I can't remember, it was a few months back. I laid out the plan for my little world, remember? Rick's little world, Rick's little fantasy utopia. And in my world, and see, I don't know if it's communist, if it's socialist, if it's, I guess the only thing I can think to describe it is kind of like the Borg from Star Trek. The collective. Everybody works for the greater good. And if anybody works against the greater good, they're dealt with. But if everybody pulled together, you know, we wouldn't need to import products from China. If we can't make it in this United States, then guess what? People really don't need it. 200 years ago. Of course, I know. Everybody tells me this land was founded on government and democracy. No, we weren't. Read your history. This country was founded on violence and guys like me picking up guns, hiding behind trees, and shooting the government people that were trying to take our tax money from us. And it's the same way now. It's taxation without representation because we're not being represented. Look at the facts. The majority of the United States did not want this, and I'm not talking the majority of government. I'm talking the majority of United States citizens did not want this health care bill to go through. How did it go through? By government who is not representing the people. That's right. This country was founded on war and death. And even before we fought to be free from that government, our race came in and killed off everybody that was on this land beforehand, which is theft, pretty much. So let's recap. Was this country founded on democracy and government? No. It was founded on killing people and stealing. That's the end of my argument. You know, read your history. That's where we came from, people. There's no candy coating it. 150 years ago, the same people who are the same types of people who are in charge now, the rich, owned black people. They owned slaves. No matter how much you try and black out those words in the history books, back in those days, people owned slaves. There was an entire trade of white people taking ships to Africa, actually taking people out of their homes, out of their communities, loading them on this boat, bringing them over here and selling them. Yeah, we've got some great principles as people. I don't know. We've got to stop. For one thing, get rid of the parties. You know, it's not just the Democrats. It's the Democrats and the Republicans. They're both just as bad. We, the people, need to rise up and say, look, we don't need, 8,000 people in the federal government. It doesn't take that many. We don't need 20 people on the Keene City Council. I'm pretty sure half a dozen could, if they really cared about this town, half a dozen people could figure out what the majority of the town wants and implement some plans. I mean, it doesn't sound that hard. If somebody comes to you and says, well, we'd like to do this. I want to build a porch on my house. They say, no, you can't build a porch on your house because we've already given out enough building permits. We've got 6 shopping centers and a parking garage going in. But I can't build a porch? It's these little things that, the government trying to iron fist us, pretty much. I don't know. But anyway, we've got to stop with the death threats on Congress. We've got to stop with, get back to peaceful protests maybe? I don't know. Because apparently it does no good to vote. Because the people that you vote for just turn around and do the exact opposite that they said they were going to do to get you to vote for them. Yeah, we haven't seen any of the major things that Obama was going to do. Oh, here's the latest one. During Obama's campaign, he was completely against drilling off the coast of the United States, drilling in the Anwar province or Anwar, and Utah, all against all that energy production. Now he says he wants to start exploring oil reserves off the Florida coast, not drilling for them, just spending money exploring them. You know, stupid. He was the one that said, you know, people who make over $250,000, he's not going to raise taxes on. But he did. He's raising taxes on everybody. Change. He changed, all right. Yeah, he did. All right. I guess let's go to the music then. I've been ranting. I need a breath. I need to drink some of this refreshing G-Hausen beverage. Tonight on the Mom's Tattoo musical interlude from the 2007 Keen Music Fest is Firelight Revolution. right. Yeah, they were a great band. I remember them, and they haven't been back yet. I haven't seen them back to at least where we were filming. But I thought it was so great that it was the young kids and then the old man playing the keyboards. That was neat. In Orangeburg, South Carolina. I got a few, some dumb criminal stuff. Because, you know, criminals are the dumbest. Apparently, somebody tried to steal money bags from a bank's night deposit box. And didn't want, apparently the guy wasn't a hunter. He didn't have any guns. He used fishing line and hooks. And he was trying to fish the bags out of the night deposit box.
That sounds like a neat idea.
Sounds like a neat idea, but it's against the law. Apparently, employees at the First Citizens Bank in Orangeburg found a fishing hook in a bag last Friday morning and at least 2 other hooks in the box. One hook still had a small piece of fishing line attached. And the bank said it had security footage of the angler. The cops say the crook was out of luck because the way that night deposit boxes are set up, once the bags go in through the trap door, they can't come out the same way. So, how stupid is that?
Oh, that's good.
What are you doing with a fishing pole at the night deposit box? Looking for my worms. How about identity theft is another big thing. People, this lady cost her 180 days in jail and 3 years probation. She pled guilty to burglary, grand theft, and identity theft out in Westminster, California, because she apparently in 2008 used a fraudulent line of credit to obtain $12,000 worth of cosmetic surgery, including liposuction and breast implants. And she was arrested. Restitution was also ordered by the judge, but the amount wasn't immediately clear. But I do have a feeling that she's going to get her boobs repossessed. How sad will that be? Yeah, excuse me, lady, we're going to pump the fat back in and take your breasts. Good punishment. That's right. And this one, I better slow down because I want to finish with this one because this guy takes the cake. In Cleveland, actually the chase started in Garfield Heights, which is a suburb of Cleveland. Chase has started in over a traffic violation and reached speeds of 90 miles an hour through several communities. Apparently there were 4 people in the car. They were all arrested eventually. But at one point the driver whipped the car over. The driver and the passenger jumped out and started running from the police. Came to a fence, jumped over the fence to get away from the cop, not realizing that the fence was the state women's prison in Cleveland. Once they were in, apparently the guards just went, you don't belong here, you belong over there. But yeah, stupid is that? If you're running from the cops, jumping over fences, you know, and I've seen prisons and prison fences. It seems to me that the razor wire on top of the fence would have at least slowed the guy down a little and made him think he was going someplace he shouldn't be. Then again, if you're running from the cops, you know, what's a little razor wire? But that's dumb. It's like the story last week about the guy that broke into jail. I mean, apparently people are just begging to get into them. Meanwhile, we're getting ready to open one. And I think, was it last weekend? I think they had like a charity dinner dance up there or something. But I didn't get invited.
I think
It was
donation type thing.
Yeah, it was donations. I just figured I'd get invited by Mr. Van Wickler, and he would offer me to, be the first honorary prisoner or something, and give me a little jumpsuit, and let me film a little bit, me goofing around in one of the cells or something. I don't know. But yes, Bruce, go ahead. You have something you want to
I was
say?
thinking a new jail is not quite it's a hell of a place for a hoedown, not quite the party spot of Keene that I was thinking of.
Well, I mean, if it's new, it's probably real nice. Got nice, shiny silver toilets. I don't know. But yeah, apparently it was like $25 and it was raising money for something. I don't know. See, I don't pay attention to stuff like that. All right, we're down to like 5 minutes now, and I'm out of stuff. And there was other stuff I wanted to talk about. I know there was. And I probably mulled it over 100 times in my head. And of course, I don't write things down. But I tried to get in touch with Chris and Randy. Or actually, Chris called me today to tell me who was going to be on No Spin. And I said, Chris, it would be better if you emailed me your list of guests. He called me a pain in the ass and said he'd email me, and then he never emailed me. So I don't know who's on No Spin this week, but I think Randy's going to be back anyway, so that'll be kind of fun. Because, yeah, last week's No Spin they had Cynthia Georgina on co-hosting with Chris. And she's a small lady. Everybody that I saw said, you should have raised Cynthia's chair up. Well, it was up as far as it goes. She's just a very small lady, and if she's going to co-host on No Spin, she should bring like a phone book or a pillow or something to sit on, so she would be up. Because yeah, I think, and their desk is a little bit higher than the normal desk anyway. So, but it was fun. They did a great show, and I think she should be on. She should have her own show, as far as I'm concerned. And let's see, we got next week's show is our last new show for 3 weeks, because I'm going to the convention, and then I'm going to take the next 2 weeks and take a little breather, research some stories. Yeah. Put together some clips of some of the stuff I shoot out in Vegas when I go out there. And then we'll be back at the beginning of May. But for the next, after next week, let's see, it'll be, I don't know what the dates are, like the 15th, I think, is the next Thursday. From the 15th through the end of the month, we're going to show, I believe, the 2 Las Vegas episodes and the Just the Facts episode from last year. Repeats that I thought were pretty good and came out all right. Other than that, we'll be back at the beginning of May with all new episodes. And God, what else is going on? Next week, next Friday, you can see me doing my comedy thing, stand-up comedy at Yankee Lane's on Friday night.
High school band Tuesday night.
The high school band is Tuesday night? Okay, sometime next week. And then, I don't know. Construction, I got construction in the schools. And, I really don't think there's anything else. I covered everything. City council, because city council meeting's going on tonight. And nothing else is really going on. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. So get out, get your yard work done, No, not really. Don't do your yard work this weekend. It's the first nice weekend. Play. You can put the yard work off one more weekend, and then hopefully it'll rain.
Make sure you call. Make sure you call your mother on Easter Sunday.
That's right. Happy Easter to everybody. Happy Good Friday to everybody. Happy end of Lent. I didn't give up anything for Lent. I don't think. And if I could think of something that I just haven't done for... Actually, I gave up skydiving for Lent. Went 40 days without skydiving. It's pretty good, huh? I'm going to keep it up. I think I'm going to give it up for good. I don't know.
I don't know. I had a blast when I did it. I'll do it again.
I was thinking about when we're out in Vegas, one of the things I wanted to do last year and didn't get to, but was thinking about this year is the indoor skydiving. But I saw a clip of some guys that did it, and they said they were so sore the next day from all the muscles. Thanks, Greg. The way Greg communicates, he's half deaf, but he can laugh. I want to thank everybody, thank Cheshire TV for being open and, giving us this great studio. Thank my crew. Thank G Housen for the refreshing beverages. Thank Mom's Tattoo, who sponsors me. Thanks to M Cam in Manchester.
Stop. There are kids watching. That's no way to teach kids how to behave.